Trucker Dump, episode 181. In today's show, we're going to talk about the struggling LTL industry and what makes it so darn finicky. We'll discuss new ways to make trucks more eco-friendly and the problems that come with trying to charge all these proposed electric trucks. I'll also give you an update on the potential railroad strike, a new healthcare option for truckers, and for a change of pace, some good results from the Brake Safety Week Blitz. But hey, that's not all. We've got another Trucker Grub segment and 2 bits of listener feedback, 1 domestic and 1 international. How cool is that? This episode of Trucker Dump is sponsored by Porter Freight Funding. You can learn more at porterfreightfunding.com/truckerdump or give them a call at 205-576-8257. All right, let's get it.
Welcome to Trucker Dump, where you'll get one driver's insights and sometimes humorous views of truck driving and the trucking industry, and pretty much anything else he feels like dumping on you. This podcast is brought to you by AboutTruckDriving.com, resources to help you understand the world of truck driving through the use of stories and a pathetic attempt at humor.
Hey, Trucker Dumpers. It's another snowy day. Yeah, it's Friday, and I waited till the last freaking second to start recording this episode again. What is wrong with me? I tell you, procrastination is my middle name. But hey, some of you don't even know my first and last name. Todd McCann. I am the host of this here podcast. I've been doing it since about 2012. I am the author of 2 trucking ebooks. One is called How to Find a Great Truck Driving Job, and the other is called Trucking Life, which includes a 9.25-hour audiobook. If you buy that book, you can buy those books separately, $9.99 each, Amazon, iBooks, Barnes & Noble, wherever you get your ebooks. Or if you want to get a discount on both of them, head on over to abouttruckdriving.com and you can get both those books for a discounted price, $14.98 for the both of them. And just so you know, I'm just not some trucker who started 6 months ago and wrote 2 books. Nope, 25 years of experience here, 22 of it over the road, about 9 of it with the evil overlord, who is my wife and co-driver. Well, she was my co-driver for 9 of those years. The rest of it solo. Pretty much all my career has been dry van. No owner-operator whatsoever. Had no interest whatsoever in that whatsoever. And I like saying whatsoever, obviously. But the last 3.5 years or so, I have been LTL. I hope that continues. As I mentioned in the last podcast, that may be up well, that may be a question. Who knows? Stressed. Big time stressed. You know what else makes you stressed? Bad weather. Yeah, we've had some of it this week, haven't we? I know some of you have already driven in the snow and crap out there in Wyoming and all that was going on in Utah and everything. Well, it's over here in the Midwest now, over in my territory, and I got a bit of a taste from it going from Grand Rapids last night down to Michigan, or no, down to Grand Rapids is in Michigan. I went from Grand Rapids down to Indianapolis. And then when I was on my way back up to Toledo, man, I hit some really icy spots. I mean, the kind where you're going about 5 miles an hour, you turn the wheel just a little bit to adjust, and it heads off the opposite direction sliding. That's the kind of situation I was in. Thankfully, I only lasted for a couple of miles, which, at 5 miles an hour takes a freaking long time to get through. But hey, got through it eventually, and just weird enough, it just cleared up. Roads were completely clear, and boom, baby, just fine the rest of the way until I got almost to Toledo and 2 backups. Thankfully, thanks to Google Maps, I found a back way in. So not even really delayed much there. So anyway, I brought all that up to just say, cleaning your windshield sucks. I hate it. Don't like it at all. And it reminded me that I have a good resource over on abouttruckdriving.com for you. And that resource is a free PDF. It is called Winter Driver Heater Settings from an Alaskan Trucker. And that Alaskan Trucker is, of course, the major smartass Kevin Lowry. Yeah, you might remember him from episode 119 that was called Winter Truck Driving Tips from an Alaskan Trucker. I mean, come on. If you want winter driving tips, who better to get them from than an Alaskan trucker, right? So anyway, I'll put a link in the show notes to this. That is abouttruckdriving.com/free stuff. That's free dash stuff, actually. Anyway, just go to abouttruckdriving.com. You'll see free stuff right up there in the menu. Man, yeah, my menu's messed up right now. its logo's kind of messed up there in the corner. It says, supposed to say about truckdriving.com, and it's messed up, and I don't know why. Tried to fix it today, but hey, I got a podcast to do. It's Friday afternoon. Priorities, Todd, priorities. So anyway, again, this is a free PDF, and there's some other stuff over there too. There's that list of idling restrictions I'm sure is out of date. I need to take that down. But there's also how to axle out a load, which is handy to most of you new truckers. And there's even there's a copy of the DOT medical exam forms on there. Don't even remember why I put that on there in the first place. But you can also download both the intro songs and the outro songs, the full version of both of those. That's courtesy of the band Walking on Einstein, who I went to school with, the drummer and the bass player. Great guys, and they approved me using their songs in my podcast. So really appreciate that. So anyway, like I said, it's freaking Friday, and I want to get this over with because, God, I got to quit putting this off so late. So anyway, I'm tired again. I'm just going to try to burn through this. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be that long of a show because there's a decent amount of stories, but there's not a lot to say about each one of them. But you know how that goes. This is me we're talking about here. Yeah, I'll probably ramble on for a long time. Is my chair squeaking? I think my chair is squeaking. I'm going to have to hold my butt really still while I'm getting on with the news. Hey, let's say instead of starting the news with some boring recall, we actually have some good news for a change of pace. Found this one on landline.media, and it was called Roughly 9 of 10 Trucks Passed Brake Safety Week. Yay! Hey, if you remember right, Brake Safety Week took place back in August 21st through 27th. That's the big safety blitz put on by, one of the big safety blitzes put on by the CVSA, which is the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance. This is a big inspection that covers the United States, Canada, and Mexico, so all of North America. There were a total of 38,117 inspections, but only 13.3 were placed out of service. That's actually really good. Now, this year they were focusing on brake hose and tube chafing, and they found plenty of those, about over 6,300 of those. Trucks were placed out of service if any part of the fabric or steel braid reinforcement ply was frayed, severed, or cut through. So in Canada, 12% were found with those kind of problems. Mexico, 15%, and the U.S., 19%. Shame on us. U.S., come on. We're supposed to be better than that. Really? You're going to let Mexico be better than you? You've seen those crappy trucks coming across the border, right? Anyway. You know, one other interesting stat in here, those stats I just gave you for the percentage was just for the brake hose chafing problems, but total out of service violations for brake was 17.8% for Canada. The U.S. was 13.6%, but Mexico was only 2.5% of their vehicles were put out of service for or brake stuff in general, I should say, not just the brake hose tube chafing. Isn't that interesting, though? Like I said, Mexico, who is known to have some pretty crappy trucks coming across the border, and they're only 2.5% of them are put out of service for brakes. Isn't that strange? Canada, U.S., we got to pick up the pace here. So just to give you a heads up here, the CVSA, this Brake Safety Week is part of what they call the Operation Air Brake program. And that is, they've already announced their 2 brake safety campaigns for 2023. So the Brake Safety Week is going to be August 20th through 26th. And they say there will also be a 1-day unannounced safety enforcement initiative. And that can take place at any time. So that's just going to be a surprise. They're going to hit all over North America. So, just be prepared. Try to make sure you get all those brakes working and you don't have your brake lines are chafed and, got cord showing through and stuff like that. Not good. So that'll do it for that one. Let's move on. All right, moving over to freightwaves.com, let's give you a little bit of an update on the looming railroad strike. Now, again, the reason I even mention this at all is because if the railroads go on strike, the trucking industry is going to be affected quite a bit. Although that may not happen right now. As we last talked about, they were expecting to go on strike on November 19th if they had not reached a decision from all of the unions. I think there is 12 of them total, and I think there's like 3 holdouts still. And anyway, they decided not to go on strike on November 19th. They're going to put this off in what they call a cooling off period, and they're going to boost this out until December the 4th, although there is a clause in this that said they could slide it back to as late as December 9th if they have not ratified this contract yet. So anyway, we hope this doesn't happen, although it would help the trucking industry. It is going to put a major dent in the economy, which is already bad as is. But hey, honestly, I could use the work. So railroad folks, if you want to stick to your guns, stick to them. I'll cover your back. Again, check this one out on freightwaves.com. You know, as I've mentioned on the podcast already a couple of times, well, the whole trucking industry is really slow right now, but the LTL industry seems to be going through something that is kind of unprecedented. It's weird. Like, you know, typical union companies will lay off on a regular basis. That's just kind of part of their model. They hire a lot of people when it's really busy, and then if it's slow, the contract allows them to lay off, and it just works for them. Doesn't necessarily work for me as a Teamster, but, you know, it works for the company. But you don't often see, like, non-union companies laying off. Well, guess what? It's happening now. FedEx Freight to begin driver furloughs next month. Now, they don't call it a layoff, they call it a furlough, and there is a slight difference. From what I can tell, a layoff, basically you're just out of work, you don't have any benefits, there's no pay to go along with it or anything like that other than unemployment you can get when you go to your state. But furlough will sometimes involve a little bit of pay, and in this case, it looks like FedEx is going to be giving about, what was it I read somewhere? It's not in this article actually, but I heard they're going to be giving about $300 to each person every week to, you know, kind of hold them over. And they're going to start this at the beginning of December. They say it's going to probably last about 90 days, which is really surprising. Initially, I had just heard it was going to be a month, but I guess it's going to be 90 days starting at the beginning of December. Man, bummer. But on the plus side, FedEx employees also do get to keep their benefits. So that's cool. I mean, their health benefits when I'm talking about that. And it looks like FedEx is also offering some employees who want to transfer to other places that need more hiring. They can do that too. So anyway, like I said, my company is very, very slow right now. And, well, so's FedEx and lots of other companies. I heard Old Dominion was laying off, and they're a very prosperous LTL company, but I think somebody just said that on Facebook. So, you know, Facebook, you can't believe anything on there. Well, you can believe some stuff, but double check your facts. And I double check my facts, and I don't think that Old Dominion is laying off yet. I don't know. If they did, I think we would all hear about it because it would be such a big deal. But there's another article over here on freightwaves.com. LTL carriers point to shrinking tonnage in November. Again, tonnage is down for everybody. They go into talking about Yellow here quite a bit, and also FedEx Freight, and who else? Forward Air, I believe, is the other company that they talk to here, and they are all way down on freight. So anyway, I don't really have a lot to say about that article. If you want to know what's going on with the LTL industry and, you know, all of the shrinking freight and what's happening here, you know, part of this was planned with, you know, getting rid of kind of calling out bad customers like low paying customers and just focusing on high paying customers. So part of that was planned, but at this point, it's not really. It's just a crappy economy. So that will cover that, but there is still just a little bit more on LTL here. Again, freightwaves.com. What are the complexities in LTL line haul transportation? So if you are unfamiliar, maybe you're new to the industry, or maybe you've been around for a long time and you just don't understand how the LTL industry works, I've explained it on past episodes. One of my very first ones when I got hired on at my current company, I kind of explained how LTL works, and I thought I did a pretty good job of that. I don't remember what episode that is, but if I can remember, I will put it in the show notes. If not, just go over there and search for LTL at abouttruckdriving.com, and I'm sure they will pop up. So anyway, this article right here just kind of explains how LTLs work and some of the problems they have that are unique to LTL and that does not affect over-the-road carriers, things like that. Like I said, not going to go into this a lot. So if you were interested in that kind of thing, head on over to freightwaves.com and learn more about the LTL industry. One of the things we talk about an awful lot here on the podcast is electric trucks. Hey, look at me. I didn't say electronic trucks for a change of pace, although I now probably just jinxed myself. Anyway, electric trucks. Well, one of the big problems we've talked about is getting them all charged. And we didn't really know how this was going to work. The infrastructure is not there. It's not going to be. I think I read some report recently that said that California would have to start putting not California. Yeah, California. They would have to start putting 300 charging stations in every week, or maybe it was every day for the next 10 years to have enough charging stations to go around. Well, it's not just the number of charging stations. It's also the charging stations themselves. I found this article over here on landline.media, but it is also what they are talking about is an article on Bloomberg, and it is called "Electric Truck Stops Will Need as Much Power as a Small Town." Yeah, you heard that right. A small town. They're saying the problem isn't the amount of electricity, it's getting it all into one place at one time. They use an example here like filling up a swimming pool with a garden hose. You could do it, but it would take a really long time. What you really need is a fire hose or something like that to fill up a swimming pool. And so they're saying there is going to be so much electricity running into these truck stops while you got, think of a place like Walcott, I-80. They've got 900 truck parking spaces there. Now, not all of those are going to be electric now, but they will be in the future if they get their way about this stuff. Or even a smaller one like Petro in Joplin, I think, is 400 spots. But even if there's only 75 parking spots, still, that is a lot of freaking energy that's going to be eating up. And it's going to be, a lot of these trucks are going to be overnight and they're all going to be sucking down power at the same time. They're saying a small truck stop would be the equivalent of the same size as a big stadium, but a larger truck stop would be like that of a small town. Yowza. Yet somehow we're going to pull this off by 2035, right? Uh-huh. Anyway, you can check both of these articles, one from landline.media and the other from Bloomberg. I think Bloomberg is you can read a couple of articles for free over there, and then they want you to start paying for it. But so you can get most of the gist of this just by going to landline.media. And hey, they're a trucking website. Let's give them the click. What do you think? Onward. Hey, and while we're on the subject of electric vehicles and charging, let's head over to cdllife.com. Pilot and Volvo announce plan to build charging network for electric semis at truck stops. So yeah, not much to say here. Pilot and Flying J partnering with Volvo. They're going to start putting in these electric chargers, and they're basing it on, customer needs, where they expect the most vehicles are going to need this, and also the availability of public funding to support these infrastructure costs. Because we know this is not going to be cheap, right? But you know what, Pilot and Volvo, I say you just put them all over in California. Give them a taste of what it's going to be like to suck down their power grid. Okay? Anyway, that's all I got to say about that one. If you're interested in how this is all going to work, it's just a lot of corporate speak. But hey, head on over here if you're interested in, talking about synergy and stuff like that. cdllife.com. All right, I've got one more story here about how trucks can make the world a better place for the environment. Found this one on overdriveonline.com. How Clearflame intends to take diesel fuel out of diesel engines. So Clearflame Engine Technologies is a company that, well, they realize that it's going to be a while before we can go all electric, and they have a solution. And honestly, I have not heard this. Well, sort of. I guess Cummins has released an engine that they say they can just swap out as the top end. I think it's the top end of the engine. I'm not a mechanic, as you can tell, but they can replace just the top part of that engine and switch to different fuel sources. There goes my squeaky chair. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Yeah, they can, switch that out and just switch fuel sources depending on what kind of engine you want to buy. Well, this Clearflame is doing something very similar. They say they can replace 10 to 15% of the components from a conventional diesel internal combustion engine, and they can make it run on ethanol, methanol, or other cleaner burning natural fuels. They also say this does not sacrifice any performance, and all of this is just a fraction of the cost of, buying a whole new powertrain. They say another way this is better is because since they're only replacing some of the components that most mechanics will be able to work on these, and they'll just have to learn just a little bit about the extra components that they're not used to. So these should be easily serviced anywhere you go eventually, when they get everybody trained up on these things. Now, of course, the big reason to do this is because it is more eco-friendly, and Clearflame says that their equipped vehicles are estimated to provide 42% life cycle carbon reduction compared with diesel, as well as approximately 22% lower GHG than battery electric vehicles. Now, I didn't know what GHG stands for, but I should. Greenhouse gases. But perhaps what most people are going to be interested about this is money. And they say the cost per mile is expected to be 40% less than electric and 30% less than hydrogen. So that ought to raise some eyebrows on that one. Maybe people will be interested in this because, they don't really want to go all electric, and they're thinking, hey, I can just install these, 10 to 15% of my parts, replace those parts, and, I can save 30 or 40%. Heck yeah, I'll take that any day. So anyway, that's really about it. I just wanted to let you know that there's a new player on the market, Clearflame, and we may be hearing more from them in the future. Just everybody's got to get their hand in the eco cookie jar here nowadays, don't they? I mean, this is a big market for the future, and whoever comes out on top is going to be rich beyond your imaginable dreams. I mean, crazy, crazy rich. It won't make none of us very happy, but, hey, somebody's going to be rich off of it. Just ain't going to be me. Anyway, let's move on. See, look at how fast we're ripping through these. I told you I didn't have a lot to say about most of these subjects. I have been a company driver my entire 25 years. And I have to say that if I ever had a company come up to me and say, hey, we know you did the work last week, but we're not going to pay you for 3 months, I'd be like, that's not going to work for me. So I have to ask, as an owner-operator, why are you accepting those terms? Yes, I realize that's the way business works nowadays, but you still need to make the payments and put fuel in the truck, right? That's where Porter Freight Funding comes in. If you have a customer who just refuses to pay on time, don't mess with them. Let Porter Freight Funding do it for you. To learn more, you can head over to porterfreightfunding.com/truckerdump. Trucker Dump is all one word. Or you can head over to a new phone number they set up for just Trucker Dump listeners, 205-576-8257. All you really have to do is just create an account at Porter Freight Funding. From then on, it's just a simple 3-step process. You drop off your load, you submit your paperwork to Porter, and you get paid within 24 hours. It's really that easy. And yes, you can just use this for your one-off pain-in-the-butt customers, but you might find Porter Freight Funding so easy to use that you just decide to let them handle all your collection needs. Either way is fine with Porter Freight Funding. And hey, keep in mind that Porter Freight Funding can also help you with other aspects of running your business, such as brokering, dispatching, fuel cards, insurance, or even compliance if you got a question about getting your own authority or something like that. So please help the show by giving Porter Freight Funding a chance to show you how valuable they can be to your business. If you got questions, you can give them a call at 205-576-8257. Or if you're just ready to go ahead and make that account, head on over to porterfreightfunding.com/truckerdump. And thanks to Porter Freight Funding for sponsoring this episode of Trucker Dump and for giving us a cool new phone number. All right, let's switch gears here. Freightwaves.com. Transport executives pool funds to launch roadside healthcare network. So we've all seen these, healthcare network little things besides truck stops sometimes. And I know there was one a while back that failed. I can't remember the name of that one. It's here in the article. It was called Truckers Health Team. They closed 14 locations back in 2021. Reported on that here. They had to file Chapter 7. Just didn't work out very well. Well, these investors say they know why it failed. And they say they know it because that Truckers Health Team was just a group of, it was just a bunch of conglomerates that were coming together that thought they might cash in on the trucking industry, but they didn't really understand truckers and how the trucking industry works. And that is what is different about this network here. They're calling it Interstate Health Systems, and their plan is to put 40 to 60 locations in over the next 2 years. They're going to start in about 6 months, I think, and they're going to work on a couple of them right off the bat. But they want to build over 300 of these over the next 6 years. So they're saying that is the problem with this last one, is that they were just too sparse. There was not enough of them. And they were often like in the back of truck stops somewhere, and they say they're going to purchase lots that truckers can see and everybody knows what they're for. They're going to do a lot of advertising, and they're going to have other stuff to go along with it. For instance, they're going to have not only primary and urgent care services, but you're going to be able to book appointments through an app on your phone, or you can even use like your Qualcomm. They're going to have that set up where you can book an appointment that way. They're going to offer telemedicine, which is very popular for truckers, as well as a network of pharmacies. So that is a big thing too, because you can go to a little clinic or something like that, and they can say, here, go get your prescription for this. And you go, okay, well, great. Now I got to drop my trailer at the truck stop, hope the truck stop doesn't haul it, find a pharmacy somewhere and take your bobtail down there and get that filled. And that's a big pain in the butt. But if they can figure out a way to do this on site, that would be awesome. Now, the reason they're claiming to know all this is because this group of investors is a bunch of trucking companies. Well, not trucking companies. It's basically giant CEOs of trucking companies. So I'm not going to name all these people by name, but basically like the CEO of Estes is going to be on this, Estes Express Lines, CEO of an insurance company called Reliance Partners, freight visibility provider, Project 44, the CEO of custom truckload carrier called Custom Companies. That's the CEO of Forward Air, CEO of Hirschbach. We've all heard of them, and Forward Air. CEO of Melton, heard of them. And there's another gentleman who kind of has a private equity firm called Clarendon Capital. But he is also a longtime transport analyst. So they understand this thing a lot better than this other group who is just, like I said, trying to cash in on truckers. So hopefully this works, because I know, truckers need these kind of services sometimes. You're just feeling down in the mouth. You need to go get some antibiotics or something. And it's a major pain in the butt to do that as a trucker. You either have to wait until you're home, or you have to, park at a truck stop and take an Uber down somewhere. And yeah, that's just all inconvenient. And as we know, most truckers are just going to try to tough it out, and you shouldn't have to do that. Make your life a little easier, and hey, if you're, bleeding out your neck or something, cause, you cut yourself with a flying bungee strap or something when you were untarping something, hey, now you can go and get that fixed so you don't bleed out. That'd be a good thing, right? So anyway, if you want to learn more about this, again, this is called Interstate Health Systems. check it out, freightwaves.com. So, hey, this next one is mainly for big trucking companies and organizations related to trucking and things like that, but it did remind me of a really good thing that truckers can help with. So what are we talking about here? Landline.media talks about annual campaign raises truckers' awareness to human trafficking. So the CVSA, that's the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, they hold an annual human trafficking awareness initiative. It's going to be in January this year in the United States. It's going to be in February in Canada. And in March, they're doing it in Mexico. All the years previous, it's just been a 3-day event. But this year, they're going for 5 full days. And they're basically trying to get the word out how commercial truck drivers can, and the industry in general, can help with this problem. You know, we are the front lines really out here. We see things that other people don't see because we put so many miles on the road. So anyway, I'm not really going to go into this because, like I said, I doubt most truckers go to one of these summit type things, these conferences, but you can still do your part. I would encourage you to go check out Truckers Against Trafficking. They have a website, truckersagainsttrafficking.org, or you can just go to the show notes and I put a link to their website right there. So anyway, one really easy thing you can do to help here is just enter the Truckers Against Trafficking hotline number in your phone. I've already got it in there. I put it in a long time ago. Thankfully, I have never had to use it, but you know, I would use it in a second if I needed to because, man, trafficking sucks. Anyway, that number is 1-888-373-7888. And like I said, just go to their website and they'll have that. Just enter that in your phone. Keep it under TAT, that's TAT hotline. And just if you ever need it, you'll have it nice and handy there. So like I say, it's all I really got to say about that one. Just wanted, this article just reminded me, hey, Truckers Against Trafficking is a cool thing to be a part of. Go check that out. Again, that is truckersagainsttrafficking.org, and you can find this article at landline.media. And if you don't have the show notes here, you can always just go to this article, and they have a link to Truckers Against Trafficking there right towards the bottom of the article. There's even a little video in there from Truckers Against Trafficking. Cool. All right, well, that is a really important topic. Let's move on. Okay, well, it's always good to be aware about things. This one is not quite as important as Truckers Against Trafficking, but it's still pretty darn important because it involves food, specifically Thanksgiving dinner. Found this one on cdllife.com. Pilot Flying J truck stops to offer first ever Thanksgiving meal. So what do we got here? Looks like brown sugar glazed ham, mashed sweet potatoes, and cornbread stuffing. Now, this is not one of those free dinners, like the truck stops used to do for truckers. I don't know why they stopped doing that. Well, probably because it was costing them too much money. A lot of truckers spend the holidays on the road. But anyway, like I said, this is not one of those free deals, but they are offering this meal from November 1st through December while supplies last. That's going to be at about 150 of their locations, so not every single one of them. You'll just have to drop in and check it out. But they are offering special deals from November 21st through November 27th during Thanksgiving week. You can get 25% off this meal, but you do have to do that through the My Rewards Plus app, which, like I said before, you should have on your phone if you don't have it anyway. Just search for My Rewards Plus in your app store, download that, and you'll have an easy way to find Pilot Flying J's on your, in a map. You can get directions to there. You can get a phone number and call them to see if like their fast food restaurant's open or if you have any question about their amenities, although all of their amenities are listed there, but for some reason they often don't put the store hours in there. Anyway, it's good to be able to have that app on your phone. You can call them anytime you need them. So anyway, like I said, just check that out. I'm always interested in something new to eat out here on the road, right? I mean, Lord knows I eat a lot of canned soup. As a matter of fact, the guys that I work with don't call it my suitcase. They call it my soup case. So that goes to tell you how much soup I eat. I've been eating soup for years, even before this LTL job out on the road, just soup soup. I should have bought stock in Campbell's Chunky a long time ago. So anyway, like I said, just go check this out and get you a Thanksgiving meal if you are not going to get a home-cooked one somewhere. It actually looks pretty good. There's a photo of it here on cdllife.com. Well, what do most people need after they have a big Thanksgiving meal? Something to wash it down with. Drink! If you're unfamiliar with this game, this is when we announce a Love's truck stop is being born. Yep, Love's has been doing so many of these, I decided to make a drinking game out of it. So this one is opening in Ohio on I-90. This is listed as Madison, Ohio. I had to look this one up. Actually, I drove past it recently on my way out to Buffalo. It is exit 212. And that is, leaving Cleveland on your way up to Erie, Pennsylvania, out on I-90 there. So apparently they got 90 truck parking spaces. They've got an Arby's. Love that smokehouse brisket and the Reuben. 9 diesel bays, 7 showers, laundry facilities, and a cat scale. No dog park? What up, loves? I thought that was kind of a normal thing for them nowadays. Huh. Well, I don't know. Maybe they feel it's just too darn cold to get your pets out but right off of Lake Erie like that. Who knows? So anyway, that is going to do it for the news for today, but don't you dare go anywhere yet.
Give us a bottle of your finest champagne, 5 shrimp cocktails, and some bread for my brother.
What's that?
Sushi.
Sushi?
Boy, some chicken wings have really hit the spot.
This is a tasty burger.
Don't play with your food, eat it.
Hey, if you remember from the last episode, Trucker Smack promised to give us another Trucker Grub segment. Well, he came through. Take it away, Trucker Smack.
Hey, Todd, it's Trucker Smack. I got another Trucker Grub for you. This one is also going to be in the Olney, Illinois area. It's going to be a truck stop called Red Rooster. It's out there on 130, the corner of 130 and US 50 out in Olney, Illinois. Just outside of the Walmart DC that's there, just across the street from the Loves that's out there, and just outside of town before you head up the way a little bit to get to the first Trucker Grub that I sent in, which was Miss Tris Petrillo's. So, Red Rooster, it's a little podunk, mom and pop truck stop. It's got a decent sized parking lot. Inside the truck stop, it could be a little bit cleaner. It's got that, we've been here for 50 years truck stop look and feel, but they're clean. And, but I want to talk specifically about their food, really their, breakfast, and their breakfast, casserole or, breakfast, mash, I guess they call it, and a breakfast scramble, I think it's actually called. It's just this amalgamation of eggs, sausage country gravy, hash browns, potatoes, onions, and just a boatload of cheese and sausage and bacon, and it's just great stuff. You're talking about, you get a thing of that, a plate of that. I think I got a plate of that and a couple of sides of bacon, and I think it cost me like $5. So super cheap, super good. Throw a little bit of Tabasco sauce on there, and you are ready to go, and it is fantastic. So if you're ever out in that way and you're out in the you're out in the Olney area, stop in at Red Rooster. They're a great little truck stop, pretty cheap, and they got some really good breakfast food. Think I'm gonna plan on stopping in there again sometime, and I guess they got some pretty good breakfast burritos as well. I'll try some of that out as well. But hey, here's another Trucker Grub for you, since you keep complaining and whining that you don't have any Trucker Grub. So, Trucker Grub. There we go. All right, Trucker Smack, I'm out.
Hey, thanks, Trucker Smack. Well, man, that sounds awesome. Breakfast is probably my favorite meal of the day. Well, there's undoubtedly it's my favorite meal of the day. No doubt about that. And you had me going, man, it all sounds good. All the eggs and the cheese and all the sausage and all the onion and stuff in it. And then you had to go and ruin it by talking about Tabasco and that liquid lava. Ugh, that's nasty. What are you doing ruining perfectly good eggs with Tabasco or any hot sauce for that matter? You yucky. So anyway, I do remember the Red Rooster. I've been in this truck stop years ago. It is a tiny little hole in the wall for sure. There is not much truck parking last time I was there. Now, I went down that road a while back. Can't remember if I mentioned this in the last episode or not, but I did. I was surprised to see there was Love's there. Although, now thinking about it, they probably should have had a big truck stop there all along because that Walmart DC has a lot of action in and out of it there in Olney, Illinois. So yeah, I don't know how far away that Love's truck stop is, but if it's close enough to walk over there to Red Rooster, I would definitely consider doing that. Breakfast is one of those meals that I can actually get out here on the road. A lot of these places, that we talk about are not open when I am out driving around, but breakfast, yeah, I can do me some breakfast. So thanks for this one, Trucker Smack. I really appreciate it. I will definitely be checking out Red Rooster Truck Stop. And I'll put a link in the show notes if I can find one. Restaurants are so weird with their websites. So anyway, if you would like to submit your Trucker Grub segment, you know how it's done. Just the way Trucker Smack did it. About 3 minutes or less, which he fell within the guidelines. Good job, Trucker Smack. Let me know the atmosphere of the place. In this case, it was a dingy little truck stop, but hey, whatever. Dingy little truck stop is an atmosphere, is it not? Anywho, you just have to record all this good information. Tell me where it's at, what kind of food they have, prices, all that stuff. Tell me the name of the place. And if you've got a website, send that along too. That would help. And just make sure you record all of that in your voice memo app on your phone and send that off to truckerdump@gmail.com.
Hey, yo, bud, where do you want this load of feedback?
Well, 2 emails, that's not exactly a full load, but it is a load. Kind of like our trucking industry right now, huh? Not really kicking, but hey, 2 is better than none, which has been happening a lot recently. So let's get on with it. The first one I've got is from a fella named Jeremy Carr. He writes, "Can you please send me an invite? Love your content. I'm a fellow LTL driver out of Oklahoma City. Keep your head coming." Keep your head coming. What's that mean, Jeremy? Did your autocorrect change something? I'm going to keep my head coming, though, just for you. And of course, what Jeremy is talking about here is the infamous Trucker Dump Slack invite. Yes, that is a group of truckers who listen to this show, most of them. And you don't have to listen to this show to be a member. But honestly, if you don't listen to the show, I don't know how you would know about it because it is a private group. You do have to have an invitation. That is not being stuck up. That is just the way the app works. But you can join that group. Bunch of awesome truckers in there, lots of experience. It's great for new truckers as they go throughout their career and they start their career and they have lots of questions. For instance, Nicole just had some questions about winter driving. It was her first winter driving and there was lots of advice given in there. So that's awesome. And you can also join the Trucker Dump Facebook group if you're more of a Facebook kind of person. That group over there is not quite as active as the Trucker Dump Slack group, but hey, that's probably my fault for not engaging as much over there. Slack's just more my thing. I don't know why that is. I use Facebook for other things related to trucking, but not my own. I guess I just don't have enough time to do all of it. If anybody used to follow me on Twitter, as you know, I am not on there hardly at all anymore. I don't know why I bother, but I guess because my posts still go up on Twitter. Anybody who follows me over there knows when a new post goes up. But even that I'm too lazy to do. My website does that automatically when I post a new episode. So anyway, thank you, Jeremy. I saw that he joined up today. I don't really know if he's had much action going on in there yet, but you will, I'm sure. Thanks for joining, Jeremy. Next up, we're going to hear from Graham. And I know that's right because he signed it Graham, pronounced Graham. I know what you're like with foreign names, he says. Yeah, that's true. Now, I don't know if Graham is from Scotland or England, but he starts out, "Hi, Todd. I listen to your podcast on my long shifts trucking in Scotland and the UK. Oh, sorry, UK, England. I know that's all messed up. I messed it up. I get it. It's the UK. Okay. Anyway, this is kind of a long one, but I found it interesting. I hope you do too." He writes, "I think it would be interesting to hear about the working time regulations differences here in Europe, where the regulations are standard across all countries." Well, there you go. You're already filling us in with some news we didn't know. I didn't know all of Europe was on the same logging system. Anyway, he goes on and says, "We have had tachographs in ELD in all trucks for decades, and they have a card you insert which logs and downloads your drive time and breaks for every shift. The company you have driven for then downloads the card to a database which the government agency reviews. We can only drive for 4.5 hours before taking a 45-minute break and can only drive for 9 hours a day. Our total duty time, including other work and breaks, is a maximum of 13 hours a day, and I must take an 11-hour continuous break before the next shift. On 3 days a week, you can do a 15-hour duty with a maximum of 10 hours driving in those days. Other rules apply, but it gets too complicated to explain here." Well, that's the hours of service in general for probably every country out there. He goes on, "You also need 2 consecutive days off per week generally, but again, more complex rules apply there as well. But any 6-day work must be taken as an additional day off and added to a 2-day rest period within 3 weeks." Not sure I get that one. Well, like you said, it is confusing. He goes on and says, "The biggest difference I see between Europe and the USA is drivers are paid by the hour here for every hour of service, and all large trucks of 7.5 tons, which is 7,500 kilograms, and over are speed limited to 56 miles per hour. Ugh. And on single-laid roads, they are limited to 50 mile an hour. Ugh. That's even worse. Although on some of those tiny little roads over there, I can see where they're going with that." Graham continues, "When you get paid by the mile, as in your case, I can see how speed limiters would be seen as a very bad idea. Here, it is illegal to give drivers bonuses for completing more tasks or more miles, as this is seen as encouraging poor driving. Most large companies give bonuses for safe and economical driving instead." That's an interesting way to look at it. He continues, "A point you made about speed limiters causing accidents does not really happen here because mostly car drivers are used to it, and on motorways, freeways to you, trucks also cannot go into the outside lane. This gives space for traffic to overtake, and truck drivers nearly always sit on the inside lane letting traffic flow. Also, undertaking is illegal for all vehicles here, so you don't get vehicles passing you on both sides anyway, which would also be a potential danger if you were not as fast as the car traffic." What is undertaking, I wonder? Would that be passing on the right? Sounds like it. Anyway, he finishes up. "I hope that gives a bit of insight into driving in the UK and Europe. I enjoy your podcast, even though it isn't relevant to my work. I find the differences interesting as I have, as you have seen from my writings here. Keep up the good work, and the weekly format is better. Regards, Graham." Pronounced Graham. I know what you're like with foreign names. Yep. Well, thanks, Graham. I appreciate it. You know, I'm always fascinated to hear about what's going on overseas. Well, these hours of service, they're so freaking complicated. As I've said in the past, sorry for repeating myself for any of you who have listened and heard me say this a million times, but it's been one of my dreams to get a bunch of drivers together on a Skype call or maybe like a Google Hangout call or something like that, where you get 4 drivers. I want to do me as the American. I want an Australian, somebody from Europe, and where was the other one? Canada. That's what it was. And I wanted to have 4 on there and all discuss the hours of service. I think it would be a really cool thing to have out there on the internet for everyone. But the problem is I just cannot find time to do it. Now, if I get laid off or something like I've been talking about and I don't have a job before too long, maybe I'll try to work something like that out. At least I know I can count on Graham here for the UK part of that. So if you are a Canadian or an Australian, give me a shout if you're interested in maybe putting something together like that. It may be decades before I actually get to it, but hey, if you're interested and you're still alive by the time I get to it, well, maybe I'll give you a call. So with that, thank you, Graham, and thank you to Jeremy for writing in. I always appreciate it. And now I'm back to the whining stage because I do not have any listener feedbacks in queue. So if you want to get your voice heard, send in an audio comment. I love those. Anything you want to talk about, send it to truckerdump@gmail.com, or you can just do it the old fashioned way and just send me an email. Again, truckerdump@gmail.com. So with that, I'm going to try to get some friggin' sleep tonight because I have a feeling I'm going to be driving in more snow and crap all night long. And I'm probably about 700 or 800 miles from home. Ain't going to be able to pull that off in one shift, but that's good. That's just fine and dandy. I'll take the miles where I can get them. That's the way this economy is treating me right now. So anyway, I hope you have a great week. I hope you stay safe out there. We got some crappy weather. Don't let anyone push you into driving faster or more than you think you're safe doing. And if you don't feel like chaining up, don't chain up, okay? All right. And hey, one last thing. I hope you have a fabulous Thanksgiving Day. Hopefully you'll have some time at home, but I understand that not every trucker out there has a home to go to, nor do they have family to hang out with, which is sad, but just try to remember that you still have a lot to be thankful for. Any of you truckers who are alone out there on this holiday, just remember things could be much, much, much worse. You could have been born in a third world country and living in a slum. You could have horrible disease. You could have had a flat tire each day this week, but you didn't. At least I hope you didn't. But my point is, you have something to be thankful for. And hey, if you're just feeling alone, do something about that. Join a group. Join something. Join the Trucker Dump Slack group, truckerdump@gmail.com. There's always somebody to talk to in there. There's even the ability to swap phone numbers in there if two drivers want to do that. There have been drivers in the past who have done that and keep in touch nowadays. I think that's great. But the point is, you don't really have to be alone on this Thanksgiving Day. So reach out, join the Trucker Dump Slack group, join the Trucker Dump Facebook group, or join some other kind of group that has nothing to do with trucking whatsoever. You know, trucking doesn't have to be our entire lives, does it? Seems like it is for many of us, but it doesn't have to be. So anyway, I just wanted to give a big thank you to all you truckers out there who are so awesome. I'm thankful that every one of you are out here doing this job and doing it so darn well. This country doesn't know how good it has it with all the awesome truckers we have. So with that, I'll just say thank you and have a good Thanksgiving. So with that, I guess there's just one more thing to do, and that is to thank our sponsor, Porter Freight Funding. You can learn more by going to porterfreightfunding.com/truckerdump, or you can give them a call to learn more at 205-576-8257. Seriously, Porter Freight Funding does a lot of different things, including brokering, dispatching, fuel cards, insurance, compliance, and of course, factoring. So please help out the show and yourself by giving Porter Freight Funding a call. Thanks. All right, let's book on out of here. Well, last week I tried to guilt y'all into buying an ebook combo pack that you probably didn't need. For the record, it didn't work. Y'all are a tough crowd. So this week, I'm going to tell you another way you can help without spending any extra money. Do you buy stuff at Amazon? Well, if you go to abouttruckdriving.com and start playing any Trucker Dump episode, you'll see an Amazon Kindle app for trucking life. If you tap that, it'll take you to Amazon, and I'll receive a small commission on whatever you buy afterwards. So if everyone went and bought your Christmas presents through that link, that would really help the show. And again, Amazon pays me, so there's no extra cost to you. Well, enough begging. As always, thanks for listening. So until next time, drive safe and stay out of my way. Trucker Dump, episode 121. Nope, that was a while ago. What a way to start. Really good episode. I mean, if you're going to learn tips from driving in winter, where else can you get better, better info from? I mean, hey, if you're going to learn how to drive in the snow and ice, who better learn? I mean, come on. If you're going to learn how to drive in the snow and ice, who better to learn from than an I can't wait. Why can't I say that? This episode of Trucker Dumpers. God, he doesn't